Hi there, so I'm just going to take you through setting up the Google Analytics or GA4 integration with Shopify. For some of you, you may be using Google Analytics, Universal Analytics at the moment, but that is being phased out, as you can probably see from the top of my screen here. So July 1 is what they're saying. So if you're watching this video prior to that, then you'll need to transition over to GA4. Otherwise, after the July 1, if you're just starting a new Google Analytics account, and in actual fact, if you from March onwards, if you're starting a new Google Analytics account, it will automatically be a GA4 account. So you won't need to do any of the steps to transition over to GA4 from Universal Analytics. So if you're not sure whether you're on Google Analytics or Google Analytics 4, what you need to do is just come into your account that you're on, and this is a Universal Analytics one. And we can tell that it's Universal Analytics when we go into admin because it's got a UA number here. So in order to set up a GA4 one, it's as easy as clicking on that GA4 Setup Assistant, and then you'll go through the prompts. I've actually got one set up in here, so I don't need to follow any more prompts from here. But when you come into here, if you've not got one set up, you'll just follow the prompt to set one up, click through, and then when you get to the window that says to install a tag on a Google tag or a G tag on your site, just ignore that and then just click on the go to your GA4 property. Then that will take you through and you will have set up, but it will still say to you that it's not set up properly because there's no sort of tag on your site collecting the data. So the next step then is to go to your Shopify site. And then we're going to set up the Google integration in here. So just stepping back one moment to why Google Analytics is moving from Universal Analytics to GA4. The reasoning is that in the past they've always been tracking user data, and moving forward that will change. They're no longer tracking from a unique user perspective. It'll be by events, and that just comes in line with all online traffic tracking, where the laws are changing, where you can't track people and what they're doing, but you can track events that happen on your website. So back to here in Shopify. So what we do is we go into Sales Channel. And if you come into this area here and you don't see Google as an installed channel, all you need to do is go to the app and sales channel settings, and that'll take you through to the App Store, and then just search Google channel. And then once you find that there, it'll be the first one that comes up for you. Just install that app and just follow the prompts to go through. So once you install it, then a window will come up like this. And then it's a matter of just connecting your account. So I've already actually connected this one. So what you'll do is you'll just collect, there'll be this window here, and then it'll say which account do you want to connect to. And you need to make sure that it is the account that you're actually linked your Google Analytics to. So once that's set up, then you'll get an opportunity to select your Google Analytics 4 account. Most of the time, there shouldn't be more than one there. But if you're unsure because there is two or something else has happened, you can just quickly go back to your Google Analytics account here and check the property ID, and then go back and see that it matches there. So it was matching, so that's fine. And then that's all you have to do in order to connect your Google Analytics account. Now, so when you do come into here, once you the window comes up, there actually is a window. I think it says that you can start Google Ads, or there's a blue window at the top. Sorry, I should say that, this little blue box at the top, and that says connecting to GA4. That's where you need to click on to. Sorry about that. Now, so once you are all connected, then you want to make sure that you've got data going through to your website, through to Google Analytics. So, after a couple of hours, maybe jump back onto Google Analytics 4 accounts and just see that you've got some sessions and data coming into this area here. So this one here is not connected to a live site, so there's nothing coming through. If you're just setting up your website and you haven't got it live yet, but you want to know that it is connected properly, all you need to do is start do a preview of your site and start clicking on pages, add to cart, those sorts of things, and then come back in here and you should see some data being populated in this area. It'll be in the real time, sorry. Click through to that. So we're more in this area here. But as long as you've got some events firing, or you can see some sessions, people come to your site, then you know that it has been connected properly. So I'm just going to jump across to, before I actually go into some of those reports, there are just a couple of settings that I need you to update in your Google Analytics 4 accounts, just to make sure that we're tracking everything properly. The first one is that we want to make sure that we're retaining data for as long as possible. So you want to go into data streams. Actually, no, we don't want to go there. It is, this is new for me as well. It's data settings, and then it's data retention. And we want to change this from 2 months to 14 months. And then we just hit save. Then the other thing we want to just make sure that we've got set up properly in here is in the property settings. We just want to make sure that these details are correct. With my little Zoom window. And when I say that, the most important things are that you're reporting in your local time zone. So then it'll match Shopify as closely as possible, and that you're also, and most importantly, that you're reporting in your currency on your website. So that's your main currency. So if you're working with a markets Shopify website, then you'll have to just choose one currency, and I would do it as your main currency. So that would be probably your Australian dollar currency. In terms of the industry and category, you can find one that closely matches your industry, but this is not essential. It just kind of helps Google Analytics give you some information about like industries and averages and things like that. So that's where that how that's used for your Google Analytics account. So let's go back. The next thing we want to do is actually set up some referral exclusions. So if you've had a universal analytics account, you might have set these up in there. And basically what these are, when people go through a conversion or a purchase on your website, some of them may go through and pay via buy now, pay later apps, or they might use PayPal, or they might use Google Pay. And when they are doing that, they're going through that process of a conversion. But once they hit pay now, the website goes through to say Google Pay, and then it comes back to Shopify. So Google Analytics thinks that Google Pay actually was the source of that order, instead of it being where that person originated from. So they might have actually come from Facebook, then they went to the site, and then they went through, and then they chose Afterpay to pay, but the site redirects to Afterpay first before it gets to that thank you page. So after that point, Google thought, oh, well, that order must have come from Afterpay because that was the source of the traffic. So what we do is we exclude those referral websites, and then Google Analytics looks back further because it's kind of just ignores those sites, and it finds where the source was prior to that. And that's going to give you better tracking data in Google Analytics. So to set those ones up, what we need to do is go to data streams. And then we click on the data stream that's in here. And then once we are in here, we need to click on this little cog here. And then I think I've actually gone to the wrong spot, sorry. Sorry, it's in the configured tag settings. My apologies. And then once we're in here, we hit show all. And then we scroll down and we'll find list unwanted referrals. And then you'll come up with a screen. None of these will be in here. I've already set these ones up because these are the common ones that would be for Shopify. So then you would want to make sure that you choose referral domain contains, because that way then it's going to capture any sort of subdomains and things of these main domains. So paypal.com is a pretty common one. Afterpay.com, pay.google.com, shopify.com, shop.app, and then your domain. This would be whatever your brand name is. So say the site was called, I've got it set up as my product.com.au. So that's actually your URL. So if your URL is for instance, frenchsoda.com.au, then you would pop that in there instead of what I put there with my product.com.au. So put that back as a domain. And then you just hit save, and that sets up your unwanted referrals. Just going to discard those. Now, from time to time, you'll start seeing some other referrals that come up, referral domains that come up. So if you start using ZipPay or maybe Apple Pay might creep up, you'll see them in the report that's called, sorry, I should just go back in GA4, acquisition. I'm just going to show you where that will be. Traffic acquisition. Oh, sorry, user acquisition. It's because I've got no data in there, so it's very difficult to see it. So it'll come up in here as referral, and then you can dive into it further and find out where that referral is. And then if you start to see that it's some sort of payment method, then you want to grab the URL for that and go back into that referral link area and disallow those ones so that we don't see those coming up in the reporting. So what I'm going to do next is just move over to a demo store that Google has for analytics. Not that one, this one here. Just so I can show you some of those reports that actually come with some data in it so we can see it. So this is actually a live site that Google actually sells merchandise on, but you can actually jump into their analytics and see the demo account so we can see where, so I can give you some examples of what a GA4 account should look like. So coming in, straight off the bat, this will be what you're presented with, and you can quickly see how many users have been to your site in the last 7 days. You can change that to whatever date range you want. It's kind of just like a quick overview of how traffic is going on your site, and you can also see how many conversions your site's had and the event counts, they all relate to every single event that happens on your site. So someone who first initiates a checkout, to purchasing, to adding to cart, to viewing a page, to processing a contact form or something like that. So every single touch point becomes an event on your website. Then quickly just going through here, we can see that you can see what's happening in the last 30 minutes on your site in terms of which countries you're getting traffic from. And then it'll give you some recently accessed reports that you've been to, so you can quickly go back to them. And then it gives you some suggested reports to look at. And the suggestions mostly come from the interesting information that it sees within your account, so that it can highlight to you what they are. Then it shows you some insights and recommendations that you could action. And then from there, what we want to do is go into the report section. So the snapshot on this reports area, again, is telling you just an overview. And again, you can change the date range up the top here. So we can see how many users have been to the site in that date range. And from those users, how many of them were new users. And that's quite important, especially when you've got paid traffic going to your site, because you want to know that you are getting a good amount of new users to your site. But you also want to know that these new users, they are coming back to your site as well, because often with customers, they don't purchase on the first time. It takes them one or two, or it may take them 4 or 5 times for them to come back and then purchase with you. So you kind of want to make sure that getting a good amount of traffic from you and overall total. Then the average engagement time. This is how long people spend on your site. And the longer, the better, because that means that they are definitely engaged with what you're with your site and reading through the pages and going from page to page. If you have a site that is slow, this doesn't mean your average engagement time will go up, because what will happen in that case is if people come to your site and they find that it's slow, they'll just bounce out. So that average engagement time won't be high at all. So if you do have a low engagement time, it could be that people are bouncing out because it's a slow website, or they're just not finding what they're looking for. So if you're getting the wrong type of traffic to your site from your paid audiences, then you might find that they drop out straight away. So again, the bigger this number, the better. I did a little bit of research, and the average engagement time is about 48 seconds. So anything above that is good. So that's what you ought to be looking for. And then you've got that snapshot of the total revenue from that time. Again, it shows you here what's happening in the last 30 minutes. And you can change all of these reports up as well to use the ones that you use the most, but sticking with what they share with you is probably the best thing, just from a snapshot point of view. So then this is one of our most important ones, and this is kind of like the metrics that we use, or the channels that we use in our metrics spreadsheet. So this is just a snapshot, so you can just get a quick idea of how much traffic is coming from each of the sales channels, but you can deep dive further into that when we go into these reports over here. Then it'll also got what your top campaigns are. So this is by medium. So there's a lot of none here, and that might be because it's coming from direct traffic or referral. The campaigns realistically in this area here just relate to Google ads. They don't generally tend to relate to any sort of Facebook or Pinterest account ads that are running. You'll find those in the acquisition report, and it just depends on how well you've been setting up your UTM tagging. It'll either come up as its own or be put into the correct sales channel, or it'll be in your referral channel. Next, down here we got a snapshot of where the users are coming from a country basis, so you can see if you're an international business, what your top countries are. This is also helpful from a perspective if you're thinking that you might open up in another country. You can actually have a look through and see what that next top country is for your traffic. And then you can just see how active users are trending over time. So this is basically a report that shares how many people on a 1 day basis, 7 day basis, and a 30-day basis. These start to get a bit more complicated with the cohorts, so we might skip over those. They are something that's very interesting. If you're really into analytics of your website, then there's plenty of documentation in Google Analytics where you can learn more about these cohorts and how the retaining of users reports and how you can use those in your businesses. This one here, views by page title and screen. So again, this is going to help you understand what pages are popular on your site. So sometimes I would use this one where I'd have a look and see, okay, so home page is really good, getting lots of people here, or which is what I would expect because a lot of traffic gets sent there, and the shopping cart I would expect. But my next one down, so we see that it's a collections page probably. So what I would do with this sort of information is check on that collection page, one from a speed perspective, and make sure that it's a quick page, and then also just to check that page from a user perspective. So is it really set up in a way that people can easily find things on that collection? So is there filtering, is there sorting, how easy is it for people to move from that collection to a product page? And you can have a look through there and do the same with these other pages that are highlighted. This is events. So again, as I talked about earlier, every sort of click on your site becomes an event. So you can see what those top events are. They must have a special event that they've set up that's a custom event called view promotion, and I can see they're getting a lot of traffic to that. View item list is your collection page. Page view is your product page. User engagement is just pretty sure it's just people going from one page to the next. So they land somewhere and then they move to the next page. Sorry, it is. I'm just trying to remember in my mind. So it's definitely that they're moving from one page to another. So they've at least done that once on your site. Scrolling, session starts. Some of these are actually custom ones that Google have set up on there. Then they've also set up conversions as well. So most of us on your Google Analytics will just have one conversion set up and it'll be just purchase, but you can change those in the settings, and you can jump into the documentation and see how to do that. And you can make different events also conversions events, but just by default, it'll be just purchase for you on your site. So, it might be worthwhile to see a conversion event as begins checkouts, add payment info, view cart, those sorts of things through that checkout phase. So then when you come into this snapshot, you can actually see how people are moving through your site. So if they begin a checkout, so there's 2.4 that began, and then add payment info, so they lost 200 there. And then I'm sure if we viewed more conversions, we'd see how many would eventually go through and purchase from the site. So you can get some insight into the drop-offs through that checkout process. This is all with regards to your products and shows you how many products have been ordered. And then this one down here, because you can set Google Analytics 4 up by platform, i.e. website versus app, then you can sometimes compare the different platforms here, but for e-com store, it'll just be website. So that's the snapshot. So this is where we're actually going to grab some data around those sales channels so that you can actually fill in your metric spreadsheets. I'm just going to... So when we come in here, we can see, and we're going to do it by user acquisition, only because that's what probably you've been tracking with your universal analytics. So just to keep it apples with apples, we'll track the user acquisition. So in here, you'll see the different sales channels, which are the same as you probably have set up in your metrics. And you can see how many people are, how many users. So they're your sessions. And then the other one that will be in your metrics will be how many conversions. And then, conversions aren't in there, but total revenue is. So you can then track all of that with your metrics. So again, there's lots of other information in here. So you've got engagement rate, which is essentially how engaged those people are coming to your website. So out of a percentage of 100. So most of these channels are highly engaged for this Google Sites. The higher, the better. There's just that unassigned down there, so we can't see what that is, but that's a traffic source that's not engaged. You can use this data yourself. So if you've got some paid traffic coming to your site at the moment, and say it's coming from Facebook, and you can see that their engagement rate is 40%. So that's quite low in comparison to all of the other sales channels, then you probably is a good indication that you might be set your audience up incorrectly. So it might not be the right audience coming through to your website. So the engagement rate's quite useful. This one here is engaged sessions per user, so how many times they come back to your site. And then that's that average time again that they're spending on there. So interestingly enough, the display ads for Google, they don't get a lot of engagement time. So people are probably just bouncing out from their display ads pretty quickly. So it might be a case that either the display ads are not a good ad for them to be running, and display can also include YouTube and places like that. So they might not be wanting to actually click on an ad. They accidentally clicked on the ad and gone through to the site and then bounced back out again. In which case, if you've got that kind of data there, it'd be almost that you would just turn those display ads off if you've got those running. Event counts is how many events people from that sales channel have actually clicked. So how many events have been triggered, by that sales channel. And then how many individual conversions have happened. So if you're just tracking purchase conversions, then that's going to correlate with your sales in Shopify. So Shopify will say that the total conversions, you might have had 10 orders for the week, and then that equated to $1,000 in Shopify, then you would expect that these two figures would match that of what's showing in Shopify. So if we want to understand what's going on in that referral traffic here, because we can see, okay, there's some referrals, but that's quite broad. You can actually expand it out by going into this area here, and we go traffic source, and then we go session by source. And so we can then see it's actually expands it out a bit further for us. So this will tell us here that there's some referral traffic that's coming from Google Analytics, which would be people like me using that website to share data. They've also got some Google leads. They're coming up in referral, and then their support has got referral. So what you would expect to probably find in here on your site for referral is possibly Facebook can come up in here if you haven't got proper UTM tracking set up. And if you're not sure what to do with that proper tagging, you can just go into the Google documentation, and they tell you how to set that up. But if you're unsure of how to set that up, you don't want to go through that deep, then obviously you can find the Facebook will be sitting under in your referral. And sometimes I've also seen in referral Klaviyo sitting in here. And again, that's because that there's no UTM tracking switched on in Klaviyo. Now, for Klaviyo, it's much easier. You just switch it on, and there's documentation in Klaviyo for you to do that. So that is how you get in to find out exactly where the source is for those traffic. Then just quickly, if you want to see the e-commerce side of things, this is your purchases and things like that. I might actually just click on the overview. You can see here, this gives you the total revenue, the purchase revenue, which will be the same. If you've got some Google ads running, then you might see the ad revenue there. But you need to make sure that you're actually linked your Google Analytics account with your Google Ads account. And that's done through the settings down the bottom here. If you click on that cog, then there's a spot where you can link those accounts. And if you need more information around that, you can just double check the documentation. But it's pretty simple because once you come up, you can see where, actually, I'm just going to show you. Sometimes it's just easier. Just down here. So you click on there, Google Ad Links, and then you link it to your Google Ad account. Then the data will go through to Google Ads. There is one more step that you need to do in Google Ads, but I won't share that in here. I will be doing another video about setting up some Google Ads, like a basic Google ad. And I will mention in there just how you set up a conversion event in there. So back to these reports. So the brief overview of this one. So you can see the total purchases against first-time purchases. Again, that helps you understand how many people purchase the first time they come to your website, or whether they're coming back time and time again. The average purchase revenue per user. So this is always going to look like it's fairly low. It's just because you've got a lot of users going to your site, and then compared to the purchases being made. So this is based on all over users, not just the people who start a conversion. And then you can kind of see from items what's been purchased. And then if you've got some coupons that have been set up within Google Ads, they'll come up in here. And that's probably the basic of those ones. Honestly, there's a lot of information in here that you can gather. And you can put together, like I said, different reports to help you understand your site better. To go through absolutely everything, it'll be probably half a day of a video. But that's the basic one, that acquisition one that you want to use for filling out your metrics. You can also have a look through here and see the different products that are being ordered. The other thing is you can look at your demographics in here about the users, where they're coming from in terms of the towns, gender. This interest-based one is quite interesting as well, so you can get an idea of what users are interested in. That can help you from audience targeting in both Facebook and Google Analytics. And then obviously you can see the age and the language that they're speaking. Lastly, in here you can have a look in the tech details, so you can see where what sort of devices people are using, same as what we had in Google Analytics, what sort of devices that they're using, what browsers they're using, and what's so that was a browser that they're using, and then the screen resolution as well. This becomes important when you're sort of designing a website and you want to know, do I make a decision based on, what maybe the mobile looks fantastic, but desktop is not looking as great, and you need to make a decision. Do I change it and then break the mobile a little bit so that there's a happy medium, or do you just leave it? So you kind of just look in here and have a look at the screen resolution. And if you've got hardly anyone, looking at your site from that sort of resolution, then, I wouldn't change the website to fix it for that amount of people compared to the most amount of people. So that's a basic overview for now of Google Analytics. Like I said, there's lots more that you can go into. You can if you go through Google Analytics and you want to find some information and you're just not sure where to find it, another little cool hack is that you can start typing questions in here. So maybe you want to see traffic from USA. We'll say Australia. And then it's going to start bringing up some reports and things for you. So this one here, this users for Australia. So we can see here that it brings up this little insight that tells us that from this week or last week, there was 149 users. If that's not enough information, you can have a look here. Is there any reports that I can use that's going to help me with what I'm trying to find out? So that might have been compare countries. I'm just going to click on that report. And this is going to be all just the Australian traffic with this snapshot. And it's going to tell you how they came into your site, what source, and then their activity and that cohort and the pages that they're seeing. So that's just that overview dashboard, but just for Australia. So if you've got multiple countries, then that would be it. But yeah, certainly if you've got a question about maybe traffic for referral traffic, or maybe it's a paid advertising question, just type it in there and it'll throw up some reports to help you try and find the information that you're looking for. So I'm going to leave it there for now. And then I will do a quick video with regards to Google Shopping.